What if I told you the secret to a business that can't be broken isn't some high-risk tech venture? The secret is this: a simple chocolate bar, your morning coffee, a new lipstick. You might call them small thrills, but companies see them as a multi-billion-dollar goldmine, especially when the economy starts to crash. Stay with me here, but while a lot of businesses are struggling, a select few are quietly making a fortune, not in spite of a downturn, but because of it. They've tapped into this hidden corner of our psychology that makes their stuff almost completely recession-proof. But how do they pull it off? How does a $10 treat become the bedrock of a billion-dollar company? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the secret strategies behind the business of small thrills. So, to understand how this all works, you need to know about this thing called the lipstick effect. The name got popular because of Leonard Lauder, the chairman of Estee Lauder. He noticed that after 9/11, when the economy was in chaos and people stopped buying big-ticket items, lipstick sales actually went up. And this wasn't a one-off thing, it was a pattern. The whole theory, which was first pointed out by Professor Juliet Shore back in 1998, is that when our money gets tight, we stop spending on huge luxuries like a new car or a big vacation. But we still want a little taste of the good life. So, we turn to small, cheap indulgences. It's this powerful psychological cocktail that gets us. First, you've got the emotional hit. Small thrills give you that little burst of happiness in a world full of financial stress. That $5 latte isn't just a coffee, it's a moment of feeling normal, a little reward to get you through a tough week. Second, it's about control. When big things in life feel like they're totally out of your hands, just choosing to buy a specific craft chocolate bar gives you back a tiny sense of power. And finally, there's what you could call smart indulgence. We're not being stupid with our money, we're making a calculated trade. Instead of that $500 spa day, you'll go for a $10 bath bomb. You get a tiny piece of that experience for a fraction of the cost. And look, here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just some academic theory. It's the blueprint that some of the most resilient companies are built on. The smart ones aren't selling you a product. They're selling you justified self-care. They frame their stuff not as a silly expense, but as a necessary tool to make you feel better, an affordable luxury when you're supposed to be sacrificing everything else. Let's start with a classic small thrill: ice cream. Back in 2008, right when the global financial crisis was blowing up the entire economy, a guy named Ben Van Leeuwen started his ice cream business out of a single yellow truck in New York. The timing seemed like a complete disaster. People were losing their jobs, their homes. You'd think this was the worst possible time to start selling premium ice cream, right? Well, it turns out a lot of people wanted it. While everyone else was cutting back, Van Leeuwen was betting on one key idea. People don't stop wanting treats during a recession. They just want better treats. They want that little indulgence to feel like it was worth the money. So Van Leeuwen got obsessed with quality, making everything from scratch with simple, high-end ingredients. But their real secret weapon was mastering the art of going viral. Instead of just running normal ads, they created headlines by launching these completely insane flavors: Kraft macaroni and cheese ice cream, Hidden Valley Ranch ice cream. These weren't just products, they were a marketing engine. They got billions of media hits and got the brand into huge stores like Walmart, all without a crazy marketing budget. And it worked. On a good day, Van Leeuwen can make $300,000 just from its scoop shops. By 2020, the company raised over $18 million in funding and has grown from 10 shops to a plan for 100, with its pints in over 12,000 grocery stores. They proved that even when times are tough, a small, high-quality thrill isn't a cost, it's an investment in feeling happy for a minute. But it's not just about comfort food. This playbook works on everyday chores too. Our next example took something totally boring and turned it into a masterclass in recession-proof branding. It's 2011, the world is still reeling from the recession, and this guy, Michael Dubin, is just fed up. He was sick of buying ridiculously expensive razors from giants like Gillette that were locked away in plastic boxes at the drugstore. His solution was Dollar Shave Club. The idea itself was simple. Mail good razors to your door for a cheap monthly fee. But the genius wasn't just the business model, it was the story he told. Dubin had a background in improv comedy, and with just a tiny $4,500 budget, he wrote and starred in his own launch video. It was called Our Blades Are Fucking Great. The video was funny, relatable, and it was a direct shot at the big corporations. It went viral almost overnight. In the first 48 hours, 12,000 people signed up. Dollar Shave Club wasn't really selling razors, it was selling convenience, an identity, and a little bit of rebellion. And because it was a subscription, it gave the business a predictable stream of revenue and made budgeting effortless for customers. This was a small, repeating purchase that solved a real problem while making people feel like they were in on a clever joke. This strategy completely blew up the entire industry. Gillette, the giant that owned the market, saw its share drop from 70% in 2010 to 54% by 2018, and they were forced to launch their own subscription service just to keep up. And only 5 years after that viral video, Unilever bought Dollar Shave Club for a shocking $1 billion, all in cash. It was proof that a simple, cheap necessity, when you wrap it in a brilliant story, can become an unstoppable force. Okay, so we've seen comfort and rebellion, but the latest version of this playbook is maybe the smartest yet, selling you a healthy version of your vice. This brings us to Olipop, the prebiotic soda that decided to take on giants like Coke and Pepsi. The founders, Ben Goodwin and David Lester, spotted a huge opening in the market back in 2018. People loved the taste of soda they grew up with, but they hated the sugar and all the unhealthy side effects. Their big idea was to make a new kind of soda. It tastes like the classic stuff, but it's loaded with 9 grams of fiber, prebiotics, and has only a few grams of sugar. They weren't just selling a drink, they were selling a guilt-free version of one of the most common small thrills on the planet. Their growth was a mix of smart social media marketing and getting into stores fast. They blew up on TikTok and Instagram with influencers and regular users sharing their own recipes and reviews, creating all this free, organic hype. They paired that online buzz with an aggressive push into retail. They started in just 40 health food stores, but then quickly got into huge chains like Target, Kroger, and Walmart, taking their niche drink into the mainstream. In its first year, Olipop made around $852,000. By 2022, that number had jumped to over $73 million. And by 2023, they were on track to hit $200 million in sales, pulling in about $20 million a month. Olipop showed that you can build an empire by taking a familiar pleasure and just re-engineering it for today's health-conscious world. So, what do gourmet ice cream, cheap razors, and healthy soda all have in common? What's the secret playbook that connects these billion-dollar small thrills? After looking at these companies, it really comes down to 3 main strategies. First is the mastery of low-cost luxury. Each of these products gives you the feeling of a premium experience for a cheap price. Van Leeuwen feels like a fancy dessert. Dollar Shave Club feels smarter and more convenient than the big brands. Olipop gives you the soda you crave without the guilt. When there's a recession, we become obsessed with value. We want the biggest emotional kick for the smallest amount of money. And that's exactly what these brands give us. Second, they sell habit-forming products. 2 of our examples, Dollar Shave Club and Olipop, are all about this. A subscription like Dollar Shave Club puts the purchase on autopilot, making it part of your routine. Olipop taps into that daily or weekly habit of grabbing a can of soda. By plugging into habits that already exist, these companies build a predictable, recurring source of money that can survive almost any economic shock. You're not even making a choice anymore, it's just what you do. And third, they use brilliant, identity-driven branding. None of these companies are just selling a product, they're selling a story that you want to be a part of. Van Leeuwen sells creativity and adventure with its wild flavors. Dollar Shave Club sells wet and being anti-establishment. Olipop sells nostalgia and health-conscious intelligence. In a world with a million choices, a strong brand is everything. It turns a simple product into a statement about who you are. But here's the twist. Not every small thrill brand makes it. For every Dollar Shave Club or Olipop, there are dozens of failed coffee startups, soda knockoffs, or novelty snack brands that disappear almost as fast as they launch. The problem is that once everyone sees the playbook, the market gets crowded fast. What feels like a unique indulgence today can turn into a commodity tomorrow. Take craft soda. After Olipop started blowing up, dozens of competitors popped up with the same pitch. Low sugar, gut-friendly, better-for-you fizz. Most of them fizzled out. Why? Because they didn't have the same distribution strategy, the same online buzz, or the same emotional brand identity. And once Coke and Pepsi jumped in with their own healthy lines, it was game over for the copycats. Or think about gourmet cupcakes. Back in the early 2010s, it looked like they were going to be the next billion-dollar small thrill. Magnolia Bakery got famous from Sex and the City. Sprinkles had cupcake ATMs. Suddenly, cupcakes were everywhere. But within a few years, the trend collapsed. Oversaturation killed it. The novelty wore off, and the market moved on. That's the risk with small thrills. They can explode overnight, but they can also vanish just as quickly. The difference between a fad and a fortune comes down to one thing: building a moat. And in this game, the moat isn't patents or technology. It's story, identity, and community. Van Leeuwen built a moat with outrageous flavors that made headlines. Dollar Shave Club did it with humor and rebellion. Olipop did it with nostalgia and health. These things are hard to copy, which is why they survived while others didn't. Without that emotional edge, you're just another brand waiting to be replaced. In the end, the business of small thrills isn't really about selling stuff. It's about selling feelings. It's about knowing that when the world feels chaotic and stressful, the smallest moments of joy, control, and identity become the most valuable things you can buy. While other people are out there chasing massive, world-changing ideas, these empires are being built on a simple truth: that huge profits often come from the smallest things we reach for every single day. They prove you don't need to invent the future to build an empire. Sometimes you just need to perfect a small, simple pleasure. So, I want to know, what's a small thrill you find yourself buying? Is it a specific coffee, a snack, or something that just makes your day a little better? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the hidden side of business, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.